Bada bing, bada boo.
The city of Nanjing in China is probably the equivalent to Chicago in the United States. Just in terms of population, you're talking about at least 9 million residents, which means theoretically, if somebody farts or sneezes on one side of Chicago, you would imagine that at least 8,999,990 people don't care and don't even hear it, don't even smell it. Maybe unless you're the mayor of the city or someone with 5 cans of WD-40 strapped to their chest and a lighter. It is very unlikely that one person's actions in a city as big as Chicago or Nanjing, China, you're probably not going to impact the whole city. July 2025, something weird is happening in Nanjing. The ones who know about it and are talking about it online, they're all boycotting any future travel into and through Nanjing. Like, you would think that there's an outbreak of some sorts. They're talking about Nanjing online as if something incredibly dangerous, contagious is spreading inside the city with the residents. Some people online don't even want to come in contact with someone that's been in the city of Nanjing in the past year. These are people outside of Nanjing. Some people inside of Nanjing, nothing. They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea what people on the other side of the country or the other side of the world are saying about their city. In fact, there's this one guy, he posts online and he's just saying something weird has been happening. Okay, so he was on the street the other day. He lives in the city of Nanjing, if you need some context, which really isn't that pertinent, or so he thought. He was going to go visit his uncle and he didn't want to go empty-handed. His uncle loves fruit. His favorite fruit is watermelon. He goes to the store, purchases the biggest watermelon that they have, which on second thought might not be the smartest idea because now he's hauling this massive watermelon down the block and a stranger stops him, literally smirks at him and sneers. He's like, what the hell is wrong with this stranger? Like, I didn't even bump into you. I didn't do anything to you. Going to see your old man?
That's crazy.
This guy online is like, I mean, I've lived in Nanjing my whole life. Strangers don't talk to each other. It's not like America where you make small talk. It's like everyone goes about their day. Everyone's busy. It's a pali type of hurry culture there as well. The tone is kind of malicious also, which is throwing him off. And it's so weird. Is he about to get jumped on the street for a watermelon? He responds, yeah. The stranger looks him up and down and shoots him a look that can only be described as utmost disgust. Like if someone were to step on a cockroach barefoot in the middle of summer and then half that cockroach carcass just sticks to the bottom of their soul, that's what it looks like. And then the stranger just walks off. Mr. Watermelon has no clue what this entire interaction was about, but it's all connected. Mr. Watermelon, the internet boycotting travel to Nanjing, and somehow even that's all connected to Nanjing gyms and fitness centers that are all seemingly at the same time on the brink of collapse simultaneously. It seems like every single gym in the city is on the verge of shutting down. Some of them are even trying to sell private training lessons for $13. For 3 sessions, and they're still not selling any. And if you start tracing it all back to when this all happens, you can almost pinpoint a day that this all starts. July 5th, 2025. It's the day that a person the internet has now nicknamed Uncle Red gets arrested. Because after Uncle Red's arrest, nothing and nobody is the same. How the hell is the entire city impacted by this one man's arrest? It could be the 1,000+ videos that he has on Nanjing citizens, secretly recorded videos of random Nanjing residents during the most intimate moments of their lives. It could be that, or it could just be that Uncle Red is kind of crazy. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the National Immigration Law Center, one of the leading advocacy organizations in the U.S. dedicated to defending the rights of immigrants and their loved ones. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we would also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. A few very important disclaimers for this episode. We had our Chinese researchers help assist with this case, as well as to help navigate a lot of the social conversations that are happening afterwards and just trying to navigate the social context of everything. Today's case involves mentions of illegal distribution of intimate moments without a party's consent, video footage. Today's case is also unique in the sense that it's going to be discourse heavy. So the crime itself is ongoing, but much of the conversation and the internet reaction has become part of the case itself. Like you can't really separate the two. It's not one where I can be like, hey, so I'm going to tell you about the case and then maybe a few little internet comments here. It's so embedded. You can't talk about one without the other. Otherwise, it feels like you're not getting the full picture of what's happening out there. So I'm going to tell you everything that's been happening in the effort to present all sides of the case. Just because I'm telling you what people are saying online does not mean that I'm endorsing what they're saying or trying to make light of a situation. But like I said, the discourse is almost becoming bigger than the case itself. And to ignore that would not make it go away. I mean, it's still there. Just because we don't like to hear certain conversations doesn't mean those conversations are going to stop or they cease to exist happening. So keep that in mind. Now, the biggest note to go into this case is it involves a male identifying perpetrator who, by most reports and accounts, seems to only portray themselves as a woman online to lure in straight men to engage in acts. So with the perpetrator's end goal being to secretly film videos. Our team had multiple extensive conversations about the best way to identify the perpetrator, and ultimately we decided, since there is zero public indication that the perpetrator identifies as anything other than male in any other context than when they're trying to commit violations for monetary profit, we will be using he, him pronouns. That said, we understand that there could be a slim possibility that the perpetrator is suppressing their gender identity since they may not live in the most progressive city in the world. There's no indication of that we found so far, but we just want to make it clear we are not intentionally, purposefully misgendering someone if that is indeed the case. It's just in this moment, with the given information that we have, this is the most respectful decision that we could make. Secondly, regardless of the perpetrator's identity, their crimes are their own and are not representation of any group of people. In fact, cases like this can perpetuate negative, queer-phobic generalizations. And if those are the conclusions that one comes to after listening to the entirety of this episode, I would like to advise them to visit the nearest emergency room for possible brain damage. Thirdly, there is massive discussion surrounding full informed consent. As of now, none of the men in the videos have explicitly consented to the release of their footage. So keep that in mind. So with that being said, let's get started. Nothing gets people more violently riled up, in my opinion. I have never seen a group of people so quick to curse at each other, just like refusing to compromise, than a good old harmless conversation about who has better morals. It's the moral dilemma. It is the quickest way to get people close to you to scream at the top of their lungs, because if you refuse to kill one person, then you're intentionally, knowingly killing 5 other people, so you're actually not a good person. However, because I am willing to kill one person, I'm a better person than you. I'm morally superior than you. But that's just the trolley problem. It's like the most calm, demure of all moral dilemmas. There's a man named Jonathan Haidt, and he's got a lot of very uncomfortable moral dilemmas that people like to debate and familial ties with after long-standing fights about who's the better human. Take, for example, a family's pet is killed outside in front of their house. They had heard that roadkill meat is very delicious.
Wait.
Yeah, this is a moral dilemma, okay? Family's pet killed outside, ran over by a car. The family had heard from previous conversations that roadkill meat is very delicious. So they bring in their family pet. Nobody is watching. Nobody knows the family is doing this. And they cook the family pet's meat and eat it for dinner. Nobody saw them do this. Did the family do anything morally wrong? Some will argue, well, it's gross. But that's not the question. Is it morally wrong? And then they'll say, well, I guess the pet is already dead and it's their family pet. So if anyone's going to be upset about the situation, it would be them. And it's not like they're encouraging other people by doing it. They're not posting it online. Nobody saw them do it. I mean, it's gross, but is it morally wrong? Jonathan then further asks, then consider this. A man goes to a supermarket once a week, buys a chicken, a dead chicken. And before butchering the chicken, he has intimate relations with the chicken, and then he cooks it and eats it by himself. He does not share the food with anyone. He does not share the kitchen with anyone. He has no young kids in the house. Nobody sees him do this. He is a single man who does this in his free time. The question is it morally wrong?
Who is this guy?
He's he's an author. I believe he's a professor as well.
Got it.
And the question is not, is it gross? The question is not, would you do this? Do you want to be friends with Chicken Man? The question is simply, is it morally wrong? This is, side note, also why you cannot have philosophy majors over for dinner, because this would just end up in a bloodbath. Some would argue that this is an efficient use of natural resources. Others would say that there is a lack of respect being shown to a former living, breathing creature, which they would deem, personally, morally wrong. That's what they're saying. Then comes another moral dilemma. Okay, then hold that thought. So you think the act of doing this to a dead chicken because that chicken was once alive at some point is wrong, then I mean, you could also argue that you shouldn't be eating chickens, and then the only people that could have that argument would be vegans. But if you're not a vegan, then how can you have that argument? Then comes another moral dilemma. So let's say a woman is cleaning out her closet. She finds an old flag of whatever nation you're part of, or whatever nation you have the utmost respect for, whether that be the American flag, the South Korean flag, whatever. It's a national flag. She finds it. She has no use for it, doesn't want it anymore. So she cuts it up into pieces and then uses it as a rag to clean her toilet. Nobody looks through her bathroom window. Nobody finds out. She doesn't post it on social media as some sort of message to the youth. It's not a statement of any kind. It's just, well, I was either going to A, throw it away, and it's mine. I can do what I want with my possessions. And I mean, isn't it better to reuse things than just throwing it away? Some will say the chicken is a no-go, but the flag is fine. But others argue that flags can hold very symbolic meanings for a large population of people, such as veterans, perhaps even more so than the symbolism of a grocery store chicken that people will be eating regardless. Then others argue, just because we independently have our own views about something, does that make others morally wrong when their views are not the same, even if they're technically not hurting someone? Where does the morality end? When they start hurting people? Or just the idea, the concept? But who comes up with where that concept is? Side note, if you've ever had the desire to be the very annoying dinner party guest, his book is really good. It's called Righteous Mind. Is
it filled with these questions?
Yeah, and it's filled with how his students respond, and it's just, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, there's like a cockroach dilemma. There's incest dilemmas.
Whoa.
Yeah, it even goes into how a lot of people will first, this is what he says in the book of, it's interesting because when you ask people these questions about these moral dilemmas, first people will be disgusted by the moral dilemmas. And you'll see it. And one of the first things that they do to justify their disgust, because they can't, I mean, maybe someone on the street, but when you're talking to a lot of like philosophy majors, it's hard to debate that some of these are morally wrong. Because it's just difficult. They're not hurting anyone. Nobody's finding out. It's not a statement. So what they do is they feel the disgust first, the emotion. And he says one of the first things that happens is they will find victims to justify their emotions, stating the family who eats the pet will get sick, or they're teaching their children dangerous behaviors, or the children are exposed to diseases by eating the pet meat. He's like, who said they had children?
That is so interesting.
Others say a neighbor who is a veteran is going to see the woman cutting up the flag and cleaning her toilet. And if he doesn't see that, he's going to see it peeking out of her trash can filled with doo-doo. And he's going to be very sad because he fought for that flag. Jonathan is like, we never said anyone was going to see it. In fact, I told you, nobody knows that this is happening. This is happening privately. So people will create victims to justify how they feel upset about a moral dilemma, which I thought was very intriguing. But that's not the point here. There are other interesting moral dilemmas, a bit lighter. So the cockroach one, because I see that you were interested, so I'm just going to tell you about it, okay? Yeah. A professor has everyone drink a sip of apple juice. And all of them take a willing sip. They saw it come out of the juice can and they take a sip. Then he announces, I have here in this container a sterilized cockroach. We bought some cockroaches from the lab supply company. The roaches were raised in a clean environment and they have been sterilized once again in an autoclave, which heats everything so hot that no germs can survive. I'm going to dip this cockroach into the juice. Now will you take a sip? Why or why not? No. Well, one could argue that probably dirtier things have actually been in contact with most food products sold within our country. We just don't know about it. This actually happens to be completely sterile. But the problem with moral dilemmas, and it's so interesting because they also did one that was so fascinating. They got a group of students together. A ton of them were atheists, so they don't even believe in any sort of God or religion. And they asked, will you sign this piece of paper that I sign my soul over to this professor after my death? But if this contract is null and void, this is not a legal contract. And they present it in front of the students, including the atheist students who don't believe that there's an afterlife, who don't really believe that your soul exists in any sort of form or even conceptually after death, and they refuse to sign it. They refuse to sign it.
Would you sign it?
Ooh, probably, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. No. I don't know.
No, just be safe.
Yeah, I mean, just to be safe, I feel like, I mean, you would want a lawyer to look over it. No. At least, maybe. I would probably be peer pressured into signing it, though. Yeah. Would you sign it?
No.
You wouldn't?
No.
That's so interesting because you're not particularly religious or superstitious or...
But I know it will bother you, so it'll just be whatever.
So the problem with some moral dilemmas is that once you find an answer to the first moral dilemma, it leads to another moral dilemma, and then another one, until you're basically in this black hole of moral dilemmas. And that is today's case of Uncle Red. This case has led to at least 15 different conversations and debates about the morality of not just the case itself, but also the internet's reaction to the case. And it feels like a black hole that we're about to get stuck in. So at first glance, there is this list. The list looks like the top 10 list of men from the city of Nanjing. It's just a collage of 10 guys, a close-up of their faces, and it's ranked 1 through 10. If you see the collage, it's confusing because it has a little phrase accompanying each blurry photo of a man. Number 1 says, might as well guy. 2, Four Seasons guy. 3, Uncle Red Note Dreamboat. 4, half bottle of oil guy. 5, TikTok influencer sleep early guy. 6, muscle man. 7, watermelon guy. Number 8, the milk guy. Number 9, black leather jacket guy. Number 10, sister-in-law guy. Michelle's fiance, and Michelle is a pseudonym, is black leather jacket guy. Number 9 on the top 10 list, which is kind of hard to forget for Michelle because every single day, every second of every moment, everyone in her orbit, in her social sphere, just keeps sending her links to the collage of photos. Everyone calls your fiance the leather jacket guy. Well, I mean, her former fiance. It gets to be so much that she actually posts online. I took the video and I questioned my fiance and he went silent. I showed him the collage and currently we have notified both sides of our family. I went to the hospital to get checked for anything today and I'm still waiting for the results. We were together for almost 3 years. I really believed we'd make it all the way to the altar. Both families had met, they'd gotten along, and then the Uncle Red story broke and I couldn't even trust my own eyes. All the lies you told me suddenly felt hollow. I confronted him and you just shrugged and said, let's part on good terms. I'm sorry. As if those words could erase everything. At that moment, every bit of light I had carried for 3 years in my life shattered. Uncle Red, I was left wondering, what exactly was I to my fiance? Really, Uncle Red? She posted a screenshot of a video of her fiance, well now, ex-fiance, sitting in a black leather jacket, sitting on the edge of someone else's bed. And that's where the top 9, like the number 9 photo was pulled from. And same with the other 9 guys. They're all sitting on the same bed or they're all standing in the same room. Michelle apparently went through leather jacket guy's phone and he even had the chance to come clean. One of his friends messaged him, do you want me to tell your fiance or are you going to? He responded, huh? I don't think that's necessary. What do you mean? You're engaged and still doing this? You don't have shame? Netizens are commenting under Michelle's post. I'm so sorry, but your fiance was pretty good looking too. And I could tell. This happened twice, didn't it? Another one reads, all I can say is he was pretty handsome, so this makes it even more confusing. Others say, it's actually more confusing that he's only ranked number 9 on the top 10 list. I'm so lost. Another one in the top 10 list is a popular influencer on Douyin, which is China's TikTok. His videos have gone viral in Asia at least a few times solely for the reason that he's attractive. One of his videos, there's just comments that now read, you deserve better than Uncle Red. Why didn't you meet me before you met Uncle Red?
That's crazy.
So who the hell is Uncle Red? A middle-aged man allegedly catfishing straight men into coming to his house to have intimate relations. Uncle Red poses as a woman online, and he will invite these straight men over, and all of their intimate reactions are secretly recorded. It has been reported by many Chinese mainstream media news outlets and then later debunked by police, but nobody believes it, that about 1,691 men fell victim to this illegal recording scam. Uncle Red appears to have a very strict routine prior to live streaming. It's a ritual, if you will. The first is finding the palest color of foundation readily available for human use, slathering it all over his face, and pairing that uniquely with the reddest of red lipsticks, always remembering to overline his lips. It's a rather low-effort, minimal routine that does create kind of a striking appearance. Now, side note, the filters on Douyin are good enough that not much more is that necessary. The next step of his process includes putting on a dress shirt, a silky blouse usually, and then a long, flowy maxi skirt. He puts on a short bob, a wig. It's a wig. It goes down a little past his shoulders. He's got bangs covering his eyebrows, and it's a unique combination of design choices that are confusing, mainly because Uncle Red decides the day that he joins Douyin, he's actually going to go into making thirst traps.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the attire is interesting. He never wears anything provocative, ever, and it doesn't work, at least not in the traditional sense. Uncle Red is, for 3 years, on Douyin. The mass audience has no clue who this person is. Nobody knows Uncle Red until he gets arrested. But that's not the end game. It appears that Uncle Red joins Douyin for the purpose of getting DMs from men, which I say with respect for half the world's population. Lots of respect, lots of love. It's typically something that you can achieve even if you're aggressively doing nothing. Naturally, Uncle Red starts getting lots of DMs from men.
But like, what kind of thirst trap is he posting at that point? You're going to get into that?
Yeah, so the thirst traps are not thirst traps in the way that you would typically imagine. So when you think thirst traps, you're thinking about costumes and dancing. Yeah, and like lots of skin. A lot of guys are attracted to Uncle Red's softness. It's alleged that he uses a voice change filter and he knows how to talk to guys. Sometimes he would take calls from his viewers, and one male viewer, seemingly familiar with Uncle Red already, is asking, "You still haven't slept yet?" Uncle Red responds, "I just ate lunch. How can I fall asleep?" "Oh, why aren't you sleeping yet?" I don't know. I just haven't slept yet." "Then can I ask you a question?" "Go ahead. What kind of question is it?" "It's about a man." "Sure, go ahead." "My husband's private part is a little longer than my middle finger. Is that normal?"
像我老公呢，他的硬起来比中指长一点，算不算正常？
That's the extent of his thirst traps.
Got it.
That's the conversation that wins a lot of guys over for Uncle Red. Side note, Uncle Red does not appear to be married, at least not anymore. He was once married to a woman, but they divorced. He has not since remarried, nor does he have a husband. But a lot of people like the idea that this is a woman who is not intimately fulfilled by her husband. And a lot of men want to say, "Let me show you what men do." That's the thirst trap.
I see.
Yes. Now, Uncle Red also does not have a good wig, because at one point during a live stream, it does slip off his head, revealing that not only does his foundation only go up to where the bangs cut off.
Wait, I've seen that photo. It's only the face. That's why, right?
I mean, but it's like half the forehead.
Yeah.
And he just has like a very short buzz cut hairstyle, which looks perfectly fine. But even so, Uncle Red's DMs start filling up, and it's rumored that Uncle Red, at least 1,691 men came to visit Uncle Red at his personal residence for intimate relations. So why is this a Rotten Mango episode? One of the first titles to come out of this incident, well, first of all, let me tell you why it is a Rotten Mango episode, because I've gotten hundreds of separate emails while I was so deep in the Karen Reed case, and everyone is telling me about Uncle Red. Yeah. And so I looked into it and I thought, okay, maybe it's not going to be the most complicated mind case because my mind was wiped. And then the minute that I got into it, it's just the moral dilemma conundrum. It made my brain spin because of how many different debates were taking place online.
Also, just like how viral this is on TikTok, and then in all of Asia, like every single country in Asia was.
Yes.
It's crazy. Like everyone's talking about this.
It's suspected that Uncle Red's bang, wig, pale skin, red lipstick, maxi skirt is going to be the #1 Halloween look in most Asian countries this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So one of the first titles to come out of this incident, and again, this is not me agreeing with the wording of this title, but like I said, it's important how the news is presented in this case. It translated reads, Nanjing 60-year-old man with a wig and a long skirt successfully attracts over 1,600 straight men. So it's a very strange title, and accompanying it is a collage of a bunch of guys' faces, and they don't look like mugshots considering half of them are looking down to the side, all different directions. Some of them are shirtless, others look like they're in brief flashes of pain, others look like they're in brief flashes of pleasure, which you can't really tell the difference. And it's a very weird visual to see so many random guys' faces in a collage. I mean, the background is so consistent that you have to consider that the idea that the pictures were all taken in the same place is a valid theory. And they are. All of these pictures were taken at Uncle Red's personal residence, where, like I said, almost 2,000 men have reportedly come to visit Uncle Red. That number will later be debated, but we will get to that. For 3 years, nearly every single day, Uncle Red has had visitors. Livestream fan after livestream fan knocking on his door, and it's kind of difficult to pinpoint who watches Uncle Red's live streams. I feel like if you sat at the corner of his apartment building and made bets with the elderly neighbor who sits outside on the plastic chair every day, you would lose money because sometimes it's a younger college kid that shows up hoodie and a backpack. Other days it's a slightly older fitness obsessed looking muscle dude in a muscle shirt. Other days it looks kind of like a nerdy English tutor. Other days it looks like a middle-aged balding man. The only reason that you would really know that they're here to see Uncle Red is that they do not come empty-handed. The speculation online is that Uncle Red's house becomes a local legend through word of mouth. Uncle Red does social media, gets a few guys in the messages, but these guys then turn and tell all their friends, you need to visit Uncle Red's house. It's basically a steal, you know, what you get and what you give. It's not even comparable. It's basically free. All you have to do is bring a small gift, a household necessity, a bottle of peanut oil from the grocery store, that's $3. A single watermelon, which depending on the season in Nanjing is $2 to $5. Or a packet of milk that you can get on sale, whatever. Just bring a bag of spinach if you must, which someone does. Just bring something to show gratitude for the host. And most likely what you get in return is what netizens refer to as, quote, full service. Undoubtedly, a lot of these guys find this to be a practically free exchange. I mean, a lot of the stuff you can find in your own freezer. They put in zero emotional effort, no dates, no paying for dinners, no relationships, no strings attached, and they don't have to pay for the services because Uncle Red is willing to do it in exchange for a half-filled Dasani water bottle of peanut oil. In fact, a lot of streamers will barely give their top donors the time of day unless they're dropping thousands of dollars on them, let alone meet up with them in person. But Uncle Red's fan service, if you will, is so good that Uncle Red will take anyone in. These are how netizens are saying they think that this whole scam started, this whole crime started. Uncle Red won't even make fun of you for buying a $3 bottle of oil and taking half of it and giving Uncle Red only half the bottle of oil. Instead, Uncle Red will guide the men to the tiny thin mattress in the corner and spend about 30 minutes with them. Now, up until this point, all of this is consensual. Like, these men are coming to Uncle Red's house. They're not being forced to stay there. They're not being forced to partake in any intimate relations or activities. So all of this, like, no part of this so far is a crime. Mm-hmm. Some of these men may have realized that the market price and what Uncle Red are offering is kind of a steal. It's a good bargain. Uncle Red's apartment is difficult to find, but even then, still a bargain. It's a basement unit and it's dimly lit. Kind of has a bunkerish feel to it, which is what netizens say. I will say it's very sparsely furnished, just a collapsible table, mini fridge, a bed, and a built-in closet with a sink next to it and a bathroom off to the side. It's not exactly homey, but some of the guys have to turn on their phone flashlights to even find the door to Uncle Red's unit. And we know this because a lot of them are captured on the video walking in with their phone flashlight on. But it's seemingly worth it, because right when they walk in, Uncle Red will place pink slippers in front of them. Sometimes Uncle Red will even wash fruit, cut the fruit, make small talk, make the guys feel comfortable, and then they get into the festivities for free. Well, for the price of a watermelon. But there is a saying that a lot of people use in marketing, which is, if it's free, that means